Now, fostering stronger capital markets in Europe would boost innovation, growth and prosperity. It may also help address the fall in the continent's share of global capital markets seen over the past 2 decades.
The drive for development comes as preparations gather pace for the shortening of the settlement cycle in Europe. This needs close alignment between member states and market participants in order to make the most of opportunities on offer.
To look at these issues in more detail, we are joined by Sam Riley, CEO of Clearstream Securities Services. Welcome, Sam.
Hey, great to be here.
Now, despite numerous efforts, European capital markets still struggle to strengthen their global standing. I mean, this is a long-standing issue. And I want to bring up a statistic. Between 2006 and 22, the EU's share of global capital market activity actually declined by 44%. So, in your view, what's really holding Europe's capital markets back?
Well, I mean, over that period of time, we've had an increased amount of regulation, which has caused, certainly fragmentation in regulation, makes it more complex. We see less investment in the retail space, and quite clearly also, in the IPO space as well, it seems to be that Europe is less attractive.
So what's the role of a market infrastructure like Clearstream in fostering that growth?
So I think over the last, probably now almost 10 years, particularly in Europe, we've been focused on how we connect the clients, how we connect the clients to the markets. We're the only infrastructure in Europe that actually provides connectivity to all the markets in Europe directly. But it's not just about the connectivity, it's about the service we provide, but it's also about bringing the new and the old together. We're seeing obviously a lot of talk around digital assets, crypto, and how we bring the existing capital market with what is becoming new areas of investment for retail investors. Mm. And then just today, actually this morning, we've announced an MOU with Circle, which is a stablecoin provider, and Deutsche Börse and Clearstream are connecting to be able to provide solutions for our clients, not just in the old world, but in the new world too.
So the European post-trade industry is in the middle now of preparing for the move to a shorter settlement cycle called T+1. Is this a double burden for market participants to have 2 key initiatives like this to split resources on at the same time?
So look, I think, as a global market infrastructure as we are, but also as our clients have seen, the US and Canada and some of the countries in South America have already moved to T+1. There's others in Asia. So it's not something new for the industry. Clearly, there are differences in Europe, and we've got other initiatives like ECMS that have been happening in the collateral management space for Europe. But I think it's something that will help drive digitization, help drive automation. So T+1 should be seen as a more positive thing.
Now, one idea to tackle fragmentation in the introduction is the introduction of a framework, of course, like the EU's 28th regime, which would provide a common legal basis for securities. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
So what we have today is obviously a number of states, 27 in the EU, that have different legal frameworks around securities law, solvability law, clearly even in tax laws, right? And that brings that complexity. By having a 28th state or regime, what you would allow to do is to effectively have a single framework of laws that would allow all to opt into that framework. And I think, we certainly think that that's a possibility to allow Europe to have a single framework in the short term.
Eurobonds, meanwhile, have had a market in their own right since the 1960s. Can they, in fact, be a role model for a pragmatic solution to achieve more harmonisation within the EU's capital markets?
Yeah, and I think the myth a little bit behind Eurobonds is it's not European, right? We're hugely international, and Eurobonds is the 3rd biggest debt market in the world after the US and China, but it offers thousands of issuers across the world in hundreds of jurisdictions and hundreds of currencies, the ability to be able to issue debt and get investors, obviously, to invest in that debt. And we do that, and we've been doing it, as you quite rightly said, for a number of years. But we think about the Savings Investment Union, the Capital Market Union for Europe. This is clearly a good facilitator to be able to raise debt and raise the capital needed to really move Europe on.
Some are seeing the cure for fragmentation in crypto assets. But will this be a solution to overcome different legislations, tax schemes and trading regulations, do you think?
Not clear yet. It's pretty small when we compare it to the rest of the world. But clearly, I think what's happening now is with regulation like the Genius Act, like what we've seen in Europe, which is MiCA, there is consistency in regulation, right? So that's a great start, and I think that's a good pillar. But as I said earlier, I think that bringing the two worlds together is going to be clear for us. We offer crypto custody at Clearstream, but we do that in a way that allows us to be able to provide the clients the same platform, whether it's investing in normal assets or crypto assets.
And just finally, to wrap up, Europe is, of course, home to some of the biggest fund markets, and exchange-traded funds are, of course, a low-threshold entry point for first-time investors. Can funds solve Europe's capital market problem?
I don't think it's going to solve it alone, but clearly when we focus on the savings and investment union, we think about things like pension schemes and the ability to be able to save for retirement, which is something that probably is not as advanced in Europe as it should be. ETFs is clearly a good alternative. And we also have a great common framework, one of the common frameworks, which is UCITS. And UCITS is a regulatory framework for the funds environment in Europe. So it clearly is an opportunity for us in Europe, for sure.
Of course, and just one part of the bigger puzzle. Thank you so much, Sam Riley, for joining us and sharing your thoughts, and enjoy the rest of Sibos. That was Sam Riley, CEO of Clearstream Securities Services.